It's kind of wild to think that one of the best guides for our modern, messy world of misinformation was actually written almost 900 years ago. Today, we're going to crack open a book of ancient fables to find some lessons that are, frankly, shockingly relevant right now.
Now, this isn't a tweet from last week, I promise. This was written way back in the 12th century by a Jewish scholar, Rabbi Bereshia Hanakdan. He was looking at the world around him and seeing, well, a crisis of truth. A place where people were actively choosing lies over reality. Sound familiar?
And what's so fascinating is how he chose to respond. He didn't write some super dense academic book that nobody would read. He decided to fight back with the most powerful tool he had: simple stories, and specifically, fables about animals.
To really get why he went with fables, we've got to understand the world he was living in. And honestly, he saw a society that was completely, totally upside down.
In the introduction to his collection, he basically lays it all out. It was a time where virtue was punished and being wicked was celebrated. The wrong people were in charge, and good, honest folks were just getting crushed by it all.
He saw that words weren't just words, they were being used as weapons. Deceitful language was causing real, actual harm, wounding people and just tearing society apart at the seams. This wasn't about little white lies, no. This was about systemic, damaging dishonesty.
So for him, this wasn't just, a few bad apples telling lies. This was a full-blown crisis of justice. Dishonesty was the tool the corrupt were using to grab power and hold on to it, pushing good people right to the edge. And that was the world he felt he had to do something about.
All right, so how do you even begin to fight back against that kind of widespread corruption? Well, Rabbi Bereshia decided he couldn't just sit back and watch. He knew he had to act.
And you can really feel in his words that this wasn't just some academic project for him. This was personal. He says his soul is disturbed by what he sees. He wrote these fables as a way to kind of bottle up wisdom, to preserve it in a world that seemed hell-bent on throwing it away.
And so he creates the Mishlei Shualim, the fox fables. But here's the thing, these are not your kids' bedtime stories. He literally designed them to be a survival guide, a practical toolkit packed with strategies for seeing through deception and just navigating a world full of traps.
Okay, so what's actually in this 900-year-old toolkit? How do these little stories teach us to see the world more clearly? Let's dive in and look at a couple of them.
Our first case study. Picture this. You've got this old lion. He's way past his prime, too weak to hunt anymore. So he comes up with a pretty cunning plan. He pretends he's sick and invites all the other animals to his den to, pay their last respects.
So one by one, the other animals go in, and well, they don't come out. But then the fox shows up, and he doesn't just rush in. He stops. He just looks at the ground. And this is the key moment. He sees all these footprints leading into the cave, but zero footprints coming out. He's looking at the hard evidence, the data, and it's telling him a completely different story than the one the lion is spinning.
When the lion calls him in, the fox is like, "Nah, I'm good," and points to the evidence right there in the dirt. The lesson is just crystal clear. The fox survives not because he's bigger or stronger, but because he was paying attention. In this world, wisdom beats power every single time.
All right, let's do another one. This time, we've got a crow. He's managed to snag a piece of cheese, and he's sitting up on a branch, feeling pretty good about himself. Down below, a fox sees him, and he really, really wants that cheese. Now, the fox doesn't try to climb the tree or fight the crow. Nope, he uses a totally different weapon, flattery. He looks up and just lays it on thick. "Oh, what a stunning bird you are. Those feathers. And with beauty like that, I'll bet your voice is just angelic." He's going right for the crow's ego.
And the crow, just puffing up with pride, totally falls for it. He opens his beak to let out this amazing song to prove the fox right, and, you guessed it, the cheese falls right out straight into the fox's mouth. The moral here, be really, really careful with flattery. Vanity is a huge trap.
So, when you put these stories together, what's the big idea here? What's the core principle Rabbi Bereshia is trying to drill into our heads?
It's this pattern you see over and over and over again in the fables. The big, powerful animals, the lion, the wolf, the eagle, they always fail because all they have is brute force. But it's the smaller, seemingly weaker animals, the fox, the stork, even a mouse, that come out on top. And why? Because they use their heads. They're clever, they're observant, they're wise.
Really, the central lesson of this entire 900-year-old collection can be boiled down to this one simple but really powerful idea.
The fox, the hero of all these stories, almost never wins a physical fight.
This is it. This is the whole game. He won because he saw the things everyone else missed. He noticed the footprints. He noticed the crow's pride. He won simply by paying attention. Because in a world of deception, the greatest power isn't strength, it's discernment.
And that brings all this ancient wisdom right into our world today. If the key to survival is noticing the details that slip by everyone else, it leaves us with a really important question for ourselves. In our modern world, with its own digital dens and flattering words, what are the footprints you should be looking for?